And good morning, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So excited to be on this morning. So let me quickly go ahead and introduce myself. So my name is Tanya Bryant. I am a life coach. I am the owner of Abundant Life Living, where I work with women to help them deal with fear in their life. Because fear is really, in my mind, is like one of the number one culprits that really stop us from living, stop us from being who we're supposed to be. And so I have a burden in our heart to help women really navigate that and get over that, over the fear, so that they can really begin to live what an abundant life. I am normally on Tuesday mornings at 6:30 Mountain Standard Time, and today is Wednesday. So Tanya, why are you on? Well, yesterday I was all prepared to go live, and I left charger, my computer charger at work. And so um, my computer was dead. And so I only had one device, and I wanted to be able to multi-stream. And so that is why I'm not on. But I wanted to make sure that I got on for this week to do my dose of encourage. So welcome, 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 welcome. Um, so I have, and I'm going to be on really short because I have to jet off to work. But again, I wanted to come on and just give you that little dose of encouragement. And so I am on, like I said, on Tuesdays to provide you with a little dose will do you, a little dose of encouragement to motivate you, inspire you, and really encourage you to move forward, encourage you to take action in whatever that may be. Take action in dealing with that fear in your life. Take action in removing any barriers and things that are blocking you from doing and being who God's called you to be. So the past couple of Tuesdays, yes, I know it's Wednesday if you just joined me, um, I've been talking about um, why, let's see, what have I been talking about? Why we choose to allow fear to rule our lives. And so last week, and so this is kind of like a three-part series, if you will. So last week I gave you part one. And so one of the reasons that we allow fear to number one reason in my mind is that we don't understand the power that we possess. We need to understand that we're these creative beings. We have this wonderful, when God created us, He placed these wonderful gifts and talents inside of us. He placed everything that we need, truth be told, we already possess inside of us. What? Yes, we already possess inside of us, but we've got to learn how to release that power. We've got to relearn how to release that strength, those talents. And so oftentimes there's education that we have to go through, understanding who we are. Many of us don't know who we are. So we allow fear to navigate and direct our life. And so we're just existing. Right. And so it is time for us to really begin to tackle that fear and to begin to move and be who God's called us to be. So last week, number one of the reasons why we allow fear to control our life is we don't release our power. We don't know just how phenomenal we are. So today I want to talk about part two of why we choose to allow fear to rule our lives. So number two is, I believe, one of the reasons why we allow fear to choose our life. Two is because we've got some baggage. We've got some unresolved emotions of anger, bitterness, and unforgiveness. And so those things actually can become a conduit uh, for fear to grow and to fester in our lives. And so, I'm talking about fear. I'm very repetitive. I used to be a teacher in my previous life, and so I like to kind of break things down. So one of the things that I talked about, we talked about what fear is. So we in our conversations, we have surmised that fear is a distressing emotion, aroused by impending danger, evil, pain, etc., whether it's real or imagined. So we need to understand that first and foremost, fear is an emotion. It is an emotion. It's a natural, instinctive state of mind, deriving from one's circumstance or mood or relationships with others. So fear is an emotion. It's a very powerful emotion. But when you begin to drill down and you begin to pull back the layers and dissect and begin to get an understanding, fear is simply an emotion, but it's an emotion that many of us have allowed to dominate and rule our life. And so it's time for us to deal with that fear. It's time for us to get that fear in check. All right. So, number two of one of the reasons why we allow fear to rule our life is because we have unresolved emotions. In other words, we're a bitterness, anger, unforgiveness. In other words, we're holding on to those things. Those things are dominating our mind, dominating our life. And so what happens is, because we have those unresolved emotions that we have not dealt with. I said earlier, baggage, right? We have this baggage that we're holding on to. And so it's hindering us from moving forward. And so that baggage feeds into fear. It feeds into that other emotion, and it gives it power, and it grows and grows. And so we're wonder, how come I'm not moving forward? How come how come, my life, I just seem to be in this kind of this endless loop that I'm going through, is because you haven't released certain things. You haven't released the anger. You haven't released the bitterness. You haven't released the unforgiveness in your life. And so fear is dominating you, right? It begins to be, it acts as a conduit. You're empowering it. And so, the anger and the resentment and the bitterness, it's clouding our mind. It's clouding our mind, hindering thinking, right? We begin to create these narratives that run endlessly in our mind and keep us bound. See, but today you've got to release that. You've got to release that. Because as I said, with number one of the reasons why we don't allow that we allow fear to rule our life is because we don't know the power that we have. We don't know that we have the ability to release. We have the ability to overcome these emotions that are overcoming our life. We have the ability to get stuff in control. Right. And so we need to begin to operate and move in that. I've been talking about fear and why we allow fear to control our life. Part one, last week, we talked about the number one reasons is because we don't know the power that we have. We don't know the abilities that we possess. We don't know who we are. And then number two is we have unresolved issues, unresolved emotions of anger and bitterness and unforgiveness in our life, and those things are hindering, and they act as a conduit. They act as a kind of as a bedrock to build that fear. And so we have these barriers of fear in our life that are hindering us from living. I am Tanya Bryant. For those that are just popping on, I am the owner of Abundant Life Living. I'm a life coach. I help women overcome fear in their life so that they can move forward and be who God's calling them to be. I want to thank you so much for joining me. Again, I'm normally on Tuesday mornings at 6:30 Mountain Standard Time. And so I invite you to be a partaker in these conversations that I'm having, conversations giving you some encouragement, giving you some tips to help you become all that God's called you to be. If you're listening, and for those that are listening and that have not already got, I have a free gift for you. So if you go to abdlifeliving.com/FO guide, you can get my fear overcomer guide. And it's a tool, a free tool to you to help you begin your journey in overcoming fear. Because, like I said, we have got to begin to tackle that fear and get it under control. Get it under control and stop allowing it to rule our life. Again, you can go to abdlifeliving.com/FO guide. Fear Overcomer Guide, FO, um, an abbreviation for Fear Overcomer Guide. To get that, download it today. Download it today. I also want to encourage you, if you are thinking, I need some support. Tanya, this is great what you're doing, but I need a coach. I need someone to help me navigate, help me really begin to deal with the issues. I encourage you to go to bit.ly/call Coach Tanya. It's scrolling down on the bottom of my screen. And I also encourage you to join my free community, Abundant Life Living community. You can go to bit.ly/ABD community to join. And there I do some pop-ups and kind of share some additional information. So I encourage you to join that. Again, you can go to, and that's my Abundant Life Living community. You can go to bit.ly/ABD community. Thank you guys so much for joining. God bless you. Go live the abundant life that God's called you to live. Take care, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.